Welcome to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast, where we sit down with the people who give shape, texture, and voice to life on the North Fork of Long Island, and sometimes far beyond. Some of our guests are rooted here by generations, others join us from elsewhere to share their work, their perspective, or their connection to this community, but all bring something that resonates, something that adds to the ongoing conversation. We talk about what's changing, what's worth holding on to, and the currents of history, both quiet and loud, that run through this place. I'm your host, Christopher Bianchi, and for episode 188, we sit down with Jamaal Boyce, an educator, author, and founder of the Black Experience in America, a groundbreaking course that invites students to think critically, question everything, and engage in open, honest dialogue about race, identity, and American history. We talk about Jamaal's background and how he first got involved in teaching, how his experience led him to develop a discussion-based approach that moves beyond traditional lectures and testing. His classroom is a place where students feel safe enough to explore controversial ideas and discover their own voices, a model that prioritizes open-mindedness, critical thinking, and honest debate, skills that are often lacking in today's world. In addition to his work in education, Jamaal is the author of Teenage Perspective on the Black Experience in America, which captures real classroom conversations, and Investing is the Best Thing, a financial literacy series for young people and their families. In our conversation, we talk about the creation of the Black Experience in America and how his focus on financial literacy connects to his broader mission, helping students of all backgrounds think independently and take ownership of their futures. So I hope you enjoy episode 188 with Jamaal Boyce. This episode was recorded August 22nd, 2025. Thank you so much for coming on the Floyd Memorial Library podcast. It's really great to have you on today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And so in the beginning, I'd usually like to start off with our guest, if you can give a little background about yourself, where you grew up.
Sure.
And the environment that shaped you early on.
Sure, no problem. So I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and then my family and we moved to Westbury in Nassau County, center of Nassau County, when I was around 8 years old. Grew up in Westbury, and I'm a Nassau kid, and grew up in Westbury. And then when I started teaching, I got hired in Riverhead Central School District, and I moved out to Middle Island for a bit, moved to Shirley for a little bit. And I was young. And now I'm settled in Bayshore, New York as of now. So nice. I've been around the whole island, or most of the island, from Brooklyn to Riverhead, to center of Suffolk, and so I've been around. But I grew up in Westbury, and my parents were immigrants from the island of Barbados, and they moved here in the 70s, had me. I was born in 1980, and the rest is history.
Yes. And what did your parents do for a living?
So my father worked for New York Life, and he was a vice president. He managed their investments at New York Life. So he was one of the major people handling the investment portion of New York Life. And my mother, she was a social worker. So she worked at Long Island University City Post, and she also worked at Suffolk Community College, the Selden campus. Mm-hmm.
And how was it for you growing up because were you very young when you moved from Brooklyn or from the city to the Nassau County?
Yeah, I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I moved to Westbury, I was about 8. So most of my years were but I have family in Brooklyn. Okay. So I go to Brooklyn a lot, and my church is in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. So I actually do go back to Brooklyn a lot. I go back to Westbury, occasionally. So, but now I live in Bayshore, work in Riverhead. So I'm like opposite, going all over the LIE, all the back and forth, Southern State, back and forth. So I've seen many different aspects of Long Island. So from the urban community, Brooklyn, to the South Shore, living in Bayshore. I lived in Middle Island for a little bit. Working in Riverhead. Now I'm in Greenport, so I'm very familiar with different parts of Long Island. Yeah. But like most of my years were growing up in Westbury.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was your time going to school, whether through middle school or high school, did you have any teachers that made an impact on you early on?
Yeah, my sixth grade teacher, his name was Mr. Lagori. I remember him, and I just remember him. He was a fun guy, and he wasn't just a teacher who just taught you. You kind of felt like he cared, like he really did care about his students. So he was a teacher that stands out to me, that I always remember as somebody who I think had an impact on me as a teacher, where I want my students to understand, yes, I'm your teacher, but I actually do care. I do want to see you succeed, because if you're successful, I kind of feel like I played a part in that. I feel like my teacher in sixth grade, Mr. Lagori, he kind of had that same energy, where his students, he expected them to succeed, and he felt like he was part of that process, and it made him feel good. I kind of feel that way when I see my former students, and they tell me, hey, I'm doing this, that, and they're doing well. I kind of feel good because I feel like I played a part in that as their teacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
And coming out of high school, did you know what you wanted to do?
I thought I did. The last thing I thought I would be doing is teaching, believe it or not. If you had told me in high school I would have been a teacher, I would have probably laughed in your face and said, there's no way. Coming out of college, my first major was economics. And I love economics. I actually teach it now in the Riverhead Central School District.
Okay.
So I love economics. I switched, though, because I just struggled with the math. Then I went to psychology. I went into computer science. And then somebody said to me, hey, you like history, which I do love history. And they said, you like kids. And I worked at a camp with kids. I said, yeah. They said, why don't you just be a history teacher? And the rest is history. I changed my major. So I changed my major probably 3 times in college. Okay. And finally went to social studies or history education. I did my student teaching at Walt Whitman High School in South Huntington. And I loved it. I was a natural at it. And that was it. I finished my student teaching. I graduated in 2002, 2003, and I got hired by Riverhead Central School District in September of that year. So right out of college, jumped right in. Been there ever since.
Yes.
Right.
And were you interested in coming out this way, or just the opportunity to work?
The opportunity to work. So at the time, when I started around in 2003, there were a lot of teaching was very popular as a profession. So it was very competitive. So if you got a chance for a job, you were taking it. There was no...
Wherever it was.
Because again, I grew up in Westbury. I was born in Brooklyn. I'm a Nassau County kid. And Riverhead, the only thing I knew about Riverhead at the time was Tanger. Tanger Outlet. That's really all I knew Riverhead for. I knew nothing about Riverhead. May have been there out to Riverhead once, maybe to go to Tanger. So when I got Walt Whitman wanted to hire me. The issue was there were no positions. So they referred me to Riverhead through a connection. They said, we can refer you to Riverhead. And I came out to Riverhead, did an interview. I did a demo lesson. Riverhead hired me. And I didn't care. It was a job. It was a way in. And that was at that time. It was, hey, you got an opportunity, take it. And I took it and been there ever since.
And you mentioned Tanger, but when you first started teaching out here, what were your initial impressions of the area?
It was a culture shock because again, I wasn't familiar with the East End as I am now. I'm more familiar with it now, but it was different. Culturally, it was way different. No better or worse, just different. So when I started, and again, I was 23 years old. So I had to adjust to how things were done in Riverhead as opposed to where I grew up. Riverhead, you have a longer lineage of families, whereas where I grew up, you really didn't have that. Many of the people where I grew up in Westbury, they worked in the city.
Yes.
They commuted LIRR, went to city, worked in Manhattan. I don't really have that working in Riverhead with it's just different. Yeah. So it was an adjustment phase for me, but I've adjusted after 23 years. So yeah.
And you mentioned some of the classes were even at Walt Whitman, but out here, were you initially teaching history and
Yes. Yep. So
only?
because my degree's in history education.
Okay.
So I really couldn't teach science or math or anything like that. Well, I'm terrible at math, but so history. So I've always taught history. So different Global History 9, Global History 10. Global History 10 was my love. I really love Global History 10. And now I teach participation in government. I teach economics, which I truly love. And I teach the Black experience in America.
Yes.
Yeah.
And before we get to the Black experience in America, I was just curious, over teaching from when you were 23 and just today, how has your teaching style changed over time, or just even the challenges early on compared to how you've changed the way you've taught even since then? Or?
Sure. So when you're first starting to teach and you're first thrown in, you're not going to be as good as you are after 23 years of doing something. So now it's more natural. When I started teaching, it had to be more mechanical or robotic because I'm just finding my way. I've never done this before. And you have experiences. I've gone through experiences over 23 years. I could, things that you would never believe could happen. You never experienced it at 23. So you're kind of trying to stick within the box. But over time, I became more natural. So for example, when I was 23, 24, I started teaching, I had to have a plan of how I was going to teach to try to, because, I remember I used to teach with a clipboard to make sure now after 23 years of teaching, if you just give me the topic, I'm such a natural, I could just go into the classroom and just go.
Yes.
Right. It's just a classroom is just like, it's like home to me at this point. So I don't need, what am I teaching today? Okay. And then I can feed off of what's going on and maneuver better that way now. But when you're 22, 23 and just starting, you've never done it before. I had to be a little more mechanical and a little more robotic and planned out.
Yes. And so what inspired you to create this course, The Black Experience in America, and around what was it over? Because I think that was only in the last 5.
This is my fifth year teaching.
Yeah. So before that, you were just teaching history, but then what inspired this course?
So I'm a person, I believe in thinking outside the box. I believe schools, there are two things that we're going to get into that I think schools fail horribly at. One of them is critical thinking. I'm a critical thinker. I like to see both sides of the coin. If you say something, I'm going to challenge it. Not saying that you're wrong or I'm right, but I know that it just can't be one thing. There's got to be another side. And even if I go to this side, that doesn't mean that there can't be another element, Schools don't teach that. Schools dictate. They don't allow for free thinking. They don't allow for free thought. And what schools do is, if you don't conform to what I teach you, you fail. But who's to say what I'm teaching you is actually correct? So one of my things is I love teaching outside the box or thinking outside the box. And what I noticed was whenever I say something that wasn't a trend or everybody, then people would say, oh, you're wrong. And I felt like insulted. So one of the elements of my classes is I encourage students to think outside the box, look at things differently than how you've been taught. Not necessarily that you have to change your mind, but look at things differently. So when I was approached, so River had approached me to teach an African-American history and literature course. And I said no. The reason I said no was because it wasn't outside the box. It's just a common, you look at a lot of schools, they're all doing African-American history and literature. It's the same thing over and over and over again. So I said, no, I'm not interested. They came to me again and asked me if I'd reconsider. So I said to them, no, I won't do that. But here's what I would propose. I made a proposal. I said, I would like to teach a course called The Black Experience in America. And I said, it's going to be a critical thinking course. And I gave them a blueprint, not the actual curriculum, because I didn't have it yet. But I gave them a blueprint of some of the things I want to discuss. I said, here, this is what I would like to discuss. And I actually thought they were going to say no. I actually was kind of like trying to sabotage it because I said, there's no way they're going to let me do this. I said, no, they're not going to let me do this. It's too outside the box. And come to find out, they said, okay. And I was actually shocked. So if you look at the title of my course, it's different. If you look at schools that teach anything to do with African American, it's usually called African American history, African American history and literature. But my course is called The Black Experience. It's something different. It's outside the box. That's what I'm about. It's doing things different because we've been doing things the same for so long. What has really helped or changed? And those were my two inspirations, was to do something outside the box that was different and to inspire my students to think critically without being dictated how or what to think.
Yes. And this was around 2020?
This was around 2020, 2021. Yeah, around 2021. Yeah. And a lot of things were going on at that time, which made me very, very nervous.
Yes.
Yes.
No, that it is kind of surprising to see that, because it was a lot of tension going on at that time.
Yes.
But I remember reading your course avoids traditional testing and lectures. Why did you choose a discussion-based format, and what have been some of the results?
So the issue with tests say that there has to be a right and wrong answer. When you're doing critical thinking, that's not necessarily the case. So I can't base my course, if it's critical thinking, it cannot be based off of a test, because a test means I'm forcing you to dictate, or I'm dictating to you, well, no, you have to put this or you're wrong. There are no right and wrong answers in my course, except factually. So facts, we don't argue. If something's a fact, there's no right or wrong answer, but we'll look at the fact and formulate or other facts that go with the fact to just create discussion, so forth, so on. So what I don't want to do in the course is I don't want to force students to think a certain way. I just want to teach them how to think. So you may think this, but understand there's a different side that you have to consider as well, which is critical thinking. And I want them to keep asking questions. So there are no tests. The assignments in the class are, they ask certain questions and they have to defend their position. And they also have to argue against their position and find the flaws in what they think. Not saying they have to change their mind, but understand there's multiple elements when it comes to critical thinking.
And that's how you grade them?
Yes. So if they give their honest opinion and thoughts, it's 100. That's it. And if they find the flaws in their argument, that's 100. That's it. Right. Yes. Nobody's forcing them to think a certain way. So, for example, one of the things we discuss is, for example, I'll ask you, is Harriet Tubman my history as a black man? Now, see, you're thinking.
I'm thinking.
All right. This is the point. Is Harriet Tubman my history?
I think there's a wide range of black experience in America, so not everyone has that same growing up with the same history, whether like your parents moving here.
Exactly. So the average person would look at me as a black man or an African American. I don't know which one it is. I talk about this in the book. Am I black or am I African American? Because there's pros and cons to both. And say, oh, Harriet Tubman's your history. I would argue, no, Harriet Tubman, and I'm not telling you what I think, I'm just making a different argument.
Yes.
Right, because I never tell people what I think. Okay?
Yes.
I could argue, no, Harriet Tubman is just American history. But to label it as my black history, well, my parents immigrated here in the 1970s from a small island in the Caribbean. I have no connection to slavery in the United States of America. So people will look at me and say, well, slavery in America had an impact on you. I could argue, no, it had no impact on me. My family moved here from the 1970s of their free will. I have no connection to slavery in this country. So when we say the black history, well, not all black people share the same history. It's just a common term. It's African American history. That's not my history, I could argue. So these are the types of discussions that we have in the course and I talk about in the book. It's critical thinking. It's outside the box. Whatever you've been taught, let's look at things from a completely different perspective. And schools do not do that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think that it is severely lacking. Because I think you've talked about other tough topics or controversial topics. How do you create an environment where students feel safe enough to explore these?
So when I designed the course, I told the school district, I said, listen. So for example, in my regular classes, like my economics class, I have 33 students. Okay. Now, most people don't understand how school works, how a classroom works. They just think the kids all come in and it's kumbaya. It doesn't work that way. If you have 33 kids, you might have on average 5 kids who are really interested, 5 kids who have no interest at all, and kids in the middle who are just, they're there. With a course like this, because it's such an adult course, I mean, this is a college level course. It's like a college level 300 course, like a high level thinking course in a college that I'm doing in a high school setting. I told them, I said, look, you can't put 33 kids in here. It's not an African American history course. It's not even really, history is a part of it, but it's not a history course. I said, we have to be very selective of the students who come into this course. Generally, it should be 12th graders, for the seniors for the most part, some juniors. And I really don't want 10th graders or 9th graders, but I've had some 10th graders by exception. Like they've come to me, presented why they should be in the course, met with me, and I said, okay, I think you're right. Most adults can't handle the conversations that we're having. So with the students, I told the district, or I said to the district, look, I really can't have more than 10 to 12 students. Because if I have 33 students, then they all can express themselves. Remember, it's a 40-minute period. These kids, they get a chance to express themselves. So the other thing is you have to have a student who's willing to express themselves and also who will not change their mind when challenged necessarily. So just because I challenge you, it does not mean I want you to change your mind. I don't want you to be bullied. And I want a student who feels comfortable enough to challenge me back. So when the students come in and I have those type of students, they're already set to express themselves and to be challenged. And then I set the framework from day one. I don't care who you are. I don't care about your race, sexuality, whatever. We all respect each other's opinions, whether we agree or disagree. So I've had white students and Hispanic students freely give their opinions on issues dealing with Black people, and the Black students were perfectly fine with. So, for example, we do stereotypes of Black people. And of all people, we do stereotypes of white people, Black people, Hispanic people, and Asian people, for example. And we list them so we could visually see on the board. But what I do is I have the students write it down first before we list it, and then they call it out. So I have white students saying stereotypes about Black people, and the Black kids are laughing. It's comfortable. We know we're not trying to insult each other. We're just talking about the issue. And then they'll say a stereotype about white people. Now we get it out in the open. And then we analyze, well, why are these stereotypes? Why are these stereotypes? Why? That's the foundation. So that's why I can't just have any kid in the class. It has to be the right student. And once I have the right 10 or 12 students, it goes smoothly from there.
Yes. But even, could it get heated at some point?
It does. Respectfully, though.
Yes.
So there's no insults, but we have debates where usually the students get, I'm using the word heated. It's not angry.
Yes.
But passionate. Let's use that word.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have very passionate debates. Usually, the students are passionate with me, not each other, because my role is to create discussion. So I'm a troll. I trigger them because I want them to be honest. So what happens is when you have discussions with people, they try to say the politically correct thing. My job is to trigger you to get the really what you think.
Yes.
So I have to troll them. And then it gets heated. We go back and forth. Now, they don't know what I think. There are times where I argue or debate my students and they say something, I say the opposite, and I'll argue the opposite very fiercely, but I actually agree with the student. They don't know. And vice versa. There's things that I argue against that I actually agree with. So usually the way it works, I've been doing this for 4 years, usually the females, they get very passionate.
Yes.
Yeah, the males do too,
Yes.
but the females get very, and I love it.
Yes.
And they yell at me, not disrespectfully, but it's the only class where they're allowed to yell at their teacher. It's the only class where we're equal. So in my other courses, I'm the teacher, you're the student. There's in the Black experience, I'm the facilitator, you're the student. So their opinion isn't any higher or worse. They don't know my opinion, or higher or worse than mine.
Yes.
They have equal footing to say what they want to say as I do in a class. There's no other class like that. Usually I'm the teacher, you're the student. It is what it is, not in here.
Because you have to teach other classes there. Do you have to get ready or adjust for that class? And is it much more enjoyable for you?
This course, the Black experience, it's the most enjoyable course that I teach. It's also the most tiring. It takes a lot out of me because, again, it's not like a traditional history class where, okay, World War II started September 1939 and blah, blah, so forth, so on. And the kids are just there and they may ask a question or they may not. This is high intensity, 40 minutes of just go, intense, and back and forth. And then on top of that, students want to share their opinion, and I have to try to navigate because I only have 40 minutes. So 40 minutes goes very fast. So you want to give everybody an opportunity to voice their opinion and then to be challenged by either myself or another student in the class. So the class, it takes a lot out of me. It's my most tiring class of the day.
Yes.
Right. So it's both my most enjoyable and my most tiring class
Yes.
of the day. Yes.
Yes. And you mentioned you don't share your opinions in the class discussion, but do you do give the facts beforehand?
Yes. So what we do is, so there's two things that I focus on with each topic. First and foremost, the students are the class. So they help devise the curriculum. So they get to pick what we're going to talk about next. There's no other class like that. So the students are the class. We have equal, of course, again, I know I'm the adult in the room, but they get to pick. So what we do is, first thing is, whatever we're going to discuss, we define what it is. Because most people don't actually know the definition of the words that they're using. So for example, racism. We discuss racism in my course. Now, when I say racism, a lot of people just make assumptions. Oh, he's going to say racism harms black people and racism is bad. When I could actually argue racism is absolutely harmless. Now, when I say that, people look at me like I'm crazy. But again, we're trying to think outside the box. Yes. So when I ask people the definition, my students and adults, and I ask them, define racism for me. Define the root definition of racism. Almost everybody gets it wrong. The reason why they get it wrong is they got their definition from school or a parent who went to school. If you actually if I ask most people, have you ever opened up a dictionary and looked up the definition of racism? Everybody says, oh, no. Well, then how do you know what racism is? You got it from somebody else. Now, what we do is we break down the word, we define the word, and come to a consensus. We try to find trends. So we look at multiple different definitions, and we try as a class to come to a consensus. What is a stereotype? What is racism? What is race? What is African American? What is Black American? And then we go from there. Right. So that's the first thing we do. Okay, let's define what this is to then go from there.
Yes. Right. And then you also mentioned with schools in terms of indoctrination.
Oh, yeah.
What parts of the educational structure do you think most urgently need to be rethought of in terms of that? Because is that something you've seen more even since you started teaching, or is it something more in the past?
Well, when I was in school, I didn't know I was being indoctrinated. You're going to school, sit down, shut up. This is what it is. So, I'll give you an example, perfect example, right? When I went to school, there were 9 planets. So if I raised my hand in 3rd grade and said to my 3rd grade teacher, Miss Anderson, I think there are 8 planets. She would have told me, shut up, you're a dunce. No, there's 9. No, I really think there's 8 planets. If I had put on my test in 3rd grade or 5th grade or whatever that there were 8 planets, what would Miss Anderson have done? She would have marked it incorrect. I would have failed and been left back because I didn't put the answer that they taught. Now they're teaching that there are 8 planets. I think Pluto isn't a planet. Don't quote me on this, but right. Well, 35 years ago, I was right. But the school system was telling me I was wrong. They would have kept me back and I would have been labeled a dunce. This is the problem with the education system is we don't allow for free thinking. We don't allow for people to challenge what they're being taught. We just tell them what it is, follow suit, and I could be totally wrong on what I'm teaching. The test could be wrong. But we're forcing you into that box. I'm about being outside the box. Let people think freely. We can challenge each other, respect. That's why adults today cannot have differing opinions without getting mad at each other. If you and I disagree on something, why am I mad at you? There's no reason to insult each other because you're not taught it from young. You're indoctrinated. So when somebody says something different, even when they present evidence, you don't know how to process it, which is why you get angry.
Yes.
Right. If I know what I'm saying is factually correct, I don't have to get angry. But that's what school does. That's what 13, 14 years of schooling does. School, for the most part, the education system in this country is now look, you got to learn math. I get it. But there's no opportunity for the other side for free thinking and critical thinking. And that's one of the reasons that inspired me to create the course.
Yes. Yeah, because even if you looked at some of the general core subjects like English or math, but then there's no classes for free thinking, critical thinking.
Mine is the only one.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think coming out of high school and going into college, I think college used to be more free thinking as well, but I think it's also that you're not allowed to
Not
think.
allowed to.
Yeah.
If you have a test, you cannot think freely. That's in my opinion. It's that simple. If you have a test, you cannot think freely. You have to answer what the professor or teacher or the indoctrinator tells you is correct. That's why my course has no tests.
Yes.
Because I don't want to indoctrinate you. That's why I don't give you my opinion, because as their teacher, I have influence. So they ask me, what do you think? I'm not telling you what I think. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think, as long as you can substantiate your argument. That's all that matters. That's what schools are lacking. Schools don't want it either. They don't want critical thinking. I really believe the system does not want critical thinking.
It's just sit there and listen.
And listen, create workers and go vote this way or vote that way.
Yeah.
Watch this program, follow what we say. My goal is I don't want my students to need me anymore. It's the same thing like with my children. There's going to be a day where I don't want my children to be dependent on me. I want them to grow up and depend on themselves. We don't do that with our students. What we do is we want them dependent on somebody, because that somebody will make money or profit off of their ignorance. That's why indoctrination exists.
Yes.
Right. My goal is I don't want you to be dependent on me. I'm going to teach you to fish so you don't have to depend. Go fish yourself. Right. The school system in America does not do that. We're teaching people or indoctrinating them to be dependent on somebody else. Watch this program or that program. Vote for this person because they said it, and nobody's questioning anything. They're not thinking critically.
Yes. And have you thought of doing, because this is for high school, but have you thought of doing teaching adults?
No, this is going to sound crazy. I think adults are worse.
Yes.
The reason why I say that is they're so indoctrinated.
Yes.
It's even at 17, it's hard to get them to look at things differently. I argue it's easier to create than to change. So, and the reason I say that is if I have a 2-year-old, I'd rather work with a 2-year-old and teach them some things than a 42-year-old. The 42-year-old's molded already.
They're already set.
They're set. They're a brick.
Yeah.
The 2-year-old is clay. You understand? So a 42 or 45-year-old, you know what? It's over. It's too late for you. So I hate to say it that way. Yeah. It's too late for you. You are who you are. And unless something drastic happens to you in life, you're not going to change. For the most part. Of course, there's exceptions. But a 12-year-old still has a chance. Because I'm 45 now. I'm not the same person I was when I was 15. So I had a chance to change. But at 45 now, it's going to be harder to change me at 45 than it would have been at 15. So I could do it with adults, but I actually think adults are so set in their way that the discussion wouldn't, they're just going to argue. They're not going to try to look at things differently. Yeah. They're just going to continue arguing their point and not find the flaw in it. Not saying they have to change their mind, because I'm not asking you to change your mind. I'm just asking you to look at things differently. A lot of adults they can't handle it. A teenager in high school, they still have a chance.
Yes.
Right. They still have a chance. Yeah.
And I'm just curious about yourself when you felt like you started to, at what age did you think you were starting to think critically or interested in hearing both sides?
I've been like that since I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always been that way. And the reason why it was kind of personal for me, because there were times I would say things. I say things to people now, and they look at me like I'm crazy. Like they're almost insulting when they talk to me. I'm like, well, I'm just looking at things differently. Why do I have to look at things like you do? I've always been like that. So I think this is kind of like my revenge to everybody who laughed at me or said I'm a dunce or an idiot because I think outside the box. I just think differently than you, and that's okay. If something is trendy, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I also, argue that people are more intelligent when they're by themselves. So when you get people in a group, I actually think they become dumber.
Yes.
I think because you follow the trend, the pressure to be part of the norm forces you to do. So I always argue to my students, and I prove it to them. I go, look, would you have a food fight with yourself? No, you wouldn't start throwing food with yourself. But if you're in a cafeteria and 500 kids are throwing food, guess what you're going to start doing? You're going to start throwing food too.
It's kind of like a mob mentality.
It's a mob mentality, yeah. When you're in a mob, you become dumber. Yeah. When you're by yourself, you actually think better. So that's why I say to my students, you got to be able to think critically. You can't be exceptional doing what the average does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you do what everybody else is doing, you're average. You can't be exceptional. You got to be outside the box. The wealthiest people on this earth, they're outside the box. Mm-hmm. They're not doing what you and I or everybody else is doing. That's why they're the wealthy. That's why we are what we are. You know, you got to be brave enough to think outside the box. And I've always been like that since I was a kid.
It wasn't something. What about your parents? Were they like that?
Outside the box?
Thinking outside the box?
Yeah, I think I probably got it from them because, naturally, now that you mention it, because, you know, my parents were always, you know, they're very God-fearing people, and that was the path they followed. So it didn't matter what the world or people thought. It just mattered what they believed in, and they just followed their path. You know, you have to be, when you're an immigrant from another country, that takes a certain type of bravery. Mm-hmm. You know, you're coming to a country, you don't know the system, and they just did what they had to do. Put their heads down. It didn't matter what you thought or this person thought. I just got to do what I got to do. And I'm of the same ilk. Like, okay, you could think what you want, but I got to do what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do. There's nothing to stop me from doing what I need to do. So they were my inspiration. They came here, had nothing. We lived in a very poor neighborhood in Brooklyn when I first started here, and now I look at my parents and the success that they've had. I have no excuse because I've had an easier start than they did. My father, he didn't get running water, I think, till he was like 12 or 13. You know, he used to go to school without shoes on. So what's my excuse? So yeah, I'm gonna think, you say this, but I see this. So you really can't hurt me. We could disagree, but it doesn't bother me. I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do. Mm-hmm. Right.
And then I just wanted to see if your opinion on, with the way we've been teaching today, and there's a lack of critical thinking. Do you think that has to do with some of the more extremes from even on the political spectrum on the left and the right, where there's not willingness to discuss things as much anymore? And
I think it's extremes. Our country, you could argue, has become more extreme on both sides. I think the other is we've gotten too sensitive, where you just can't say anything.
Yeah.
And as an adult, I know when somebody's saying something to spark a discussion or even to have a laugh, and I also know when somebody's saying something to insult me, even if it's a sly comment, so forth, so on. I can tell the difference. So we're just afraid. And I also actually think the more educated people become, the more sensitive they become. Because you think you know it all. Yeah. So if you have a doctorate, you just think you know everything. But with a high school student, they haven't even got a diploma. Some teenagers think they know everything too, to a degree. But they're not on a high horse. See, a person with a doctorate is on a high horse. I'm Dr. So-and-so. Like one time somebody asked me, why don't you go get your doctorate? I said, there's no reason for me to. I can legally just change my name to doctor and force you to call me doctor and save the money. So, but with a teenager, even though they think they know everything, they're not on a high horse. A lot of people in education are on a high horse. I have a scholarly this, so they're ultra sensitive. You can't say anything to them. Yeah. Whereas with my teenagers, I'll say something again, stereotypes. And everybody's laughing. The black kids, the white kids, the Hispanic kids, and the black kids will look at the white kid. Oh, that was a good one. And then the white kid will look at the black kid on a white stereotype. Yeah, actually, I didn't think about that. And we're all laughing. That's why I say I can't do that with adults. If you gave me 12, 15 people with doctorates, I would not feel comfortable doing that.
They'd probably all just walk out.
Yeah, or this is just not appropriate and so forth. Everybody's afraid to have a discussion. Let's get comfortable with each other so that if I'm so-called, I'm using air quotes, black, and you're so-called white, well, you don't need to be, hey, man, I just want my kids to grow up and do well. Hey, you like money? I like money too. Oh, you like to travel? Oh, I like to travel too. We're not as different as it's made out. Sure, you may be different religiously or even politically.
But I think we like to have these categories now. Yes. I think even more so in more tribal type.
Yeah, you got to pick a side. Yeah. And it's like, in reality, we have our differences. I have differences with members of my family. I'm not exactly like my wife, but our foundation is the same. So, oh yeah, okay, we're not as far off from each other as we are portrayed to be.
Yes.
I don't want anybody harming me or my family, just like you wouldn't want anybody harming you and your family. You don't want somebody telling you how to think, just like I don't want anybody telling me how to think. So let's just get out in the open. Let's discuss and say, yeah, we have differences, but we have similarities also. And I think our nation, we love the differences because that's how certain people make money. That's how certain people keep power. We don't focus on the similarities. And I think that's the key. So part of the Black experience is, even though it's called the Black experience, you're thinking it's just, but there's a lot of things that my Italian students can relate to that I can relate to, or a lot of things my Hispanic students or we're not that far off. We just may do it differently, but the foundation is very similar.
Mm-hmm. And do you see, for a course like this, do you see it could evolve into more of the American experience?
No way.
No way.
No. I mentioned in the book I'm lucky Riverhead allows me to do it. Schools don't want this. They do not want this.
There's not other schools on Long Island that have tried.
No. You're just gonna sound crazy. Believe it or not, there are predominantly Black schools. I'm using air quotes again. Mm-hmm. They definitely don't want this. Mm-hmm. They don't want it. It's too outside the box. It's too in your face. It's too different. Mm-hmm. And no, in fact, I always say year to year, this could be my last year teaching it. Year to year, it's not something where it's like, oh, nope, this probably could be my last year teaching it. Mm-hmm. I look at it every year like that. This could probably be my last year teaching it, and that's it. The American educational system does not want this. They do not want critical thinking. They don't want your child or our children thinking critically. They want to dictate, and then when they graduate, you follow this political path or that political path or this influencer. Somebody needs to profit off your ignorance. Mm-hmm. That's how it's designed.
Yes.
Right. See, again, if I teach you to be self-sufficient, you don't need me anymore. I can't make money, or I can't get your vote. I need you dependent on me for something. So I'm going to fearmonger you to get you to join me because I'm going to be your protector. Mm-hmm. Oh, you don't know anything about money? Well, follow me and I'll show you what you should do. That's the whole point. So something like this, no. This probably could be my last year teaching the course. Mm-hmm. Right. It's just not desirable in the education. Kids want it. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the students want it. Mm-hmm. But as we know, the adults in education don't care what the kids want. They care about what they want to push in their agenda.
And have you talked to other teachers that might be interested in it, but they just don't have the...
Oh, believe it or not, a lot of teachers are interested. I've had teachers and security. I've had faculty members actually come in to the course and sit in on the course. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of teachers support it. It's not, a lot of teachers support it. So when I say education, I'm not talking about like teachers necessarily. I'm talking about the system.
The system.
Right, it's just the system. Oh, yeah. It's not the I've had plenty of teachers come into a class and they love it. They come in on their lunch period. I have students who aren't on the roster who come in on their lunch period and sit on the class. So a lot of teachers support it. A lot of teachers support it.
Yeah.
And it's the system. It really is the system. The system doesn't want it.
They don't want you thinking outside.
No. They want you to sit down, follow suit, be in order, and graduate. And then somebody out there is going. I always tell my students, "You're sheep. They're wolves.
They're gonna herd you in.
Yeah, they're gonna herd you. Yeah, correct. Right. Somebody's gonna take advantage of you. Right. And I tell my students, because they're seniors, I tell them nobody likes you. I go, nobody likes you out there. They want something from you. You just don't know it. Mm-hmm. So when I walk into a car dealership and the guy's walking up to me and smiling, why would he like me? Mm-hmm. I'm not that charming. Yeah. He wants, but we don't recognize that. So when a politician talks to you, they don't like you. He just wants or she wants your vote. Mm-hmm. They don't like you. They don't know you to like you. Nobody likes you when you get out there. You got to be prepared. School has taught you that everybody likes you. Oh, yeah. No, nobody out there the banker doesn't like you. Mm-hmm. The life insurance guy they don't like you. They all are trying to get, and they need you dependent on them.
Yes.
That's how they make their money. That's how they get their votes. But if you learn how to critically think or do something for yourself, you don't need them. Mm-hmm. We don't teach that in school. We teach them to be dependent. I teach you this, I tell you this, take the test, you pass. You don't, you fail. That's the American education system.
Yes.
My course is the complete opposite, which is why schools will never pick it up.
But just looking at your course and the way you teach it, is it something that you feel other teachers could learn? Because it can be probably hard playing that devil's advocate.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So most teachers cannot do this course. Mm-hmm. Right. Most teachers, or they can't because, like I said, they're so indoctrinated in how they think. Now, somebody would say, well, what makes you qualified to teach? I created it. Mm-hmm. My argument is, why am I the first person to create a course like this? That's what makes me qualified. Nobody else created a critical thinking course to this level in America. Mm-hmm. I did. Because I love playing devil's advocate. I love seeing different things. I love learning different things from different people. I love oh, you guys do it this way, huh? I never thought about it. Most people aren't like that. Mm-hmm. So it's hard. It's also very hard for people to troll and trigger. I'm telling you, I know how to trigger people. It's probably the only skill on this earth that I have is finding a way to get the real authentic you. Most people, most teachers cannot do that. I'm not saying none, but most, and I've had a lot of teachers tell me they couldn't teach this. They love the course. They go, man, I couldn't teach this. I don't know how you do. I'm also not sensitive. So my students yell at me respectfully and not disrespectful. Mm-hmm. I don't get upset. I want them passionate. Mm-hmm. I want, how many classes have you been in where the students are yelling at the teacher about something educational? They're not cursing me out. It never happens. Never. My students are passionate. They're showing passion, which is what I want. I want them to be passionate. Express yourself. I'm not afraid of them expressing themselves. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. A lot of teachers, they can't handle that. Mm-hmm. Right.
They're used to probably just teaching in that way, providing the facts and like.
Right. This is that. So I'm the complete opposite. I like winging it. I like going based on you say something, it's like ping pong or tennis. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know what's going to come out of a student's mouth. So when they say something, that gives me an opportunity, another teachable moment. Mm-hmm. So teaching isn't just teaching what I set out to teach. That it could be something that goes around and comes right back. Mm-hmm. I love that. Mm-hmm. That's my skill as a teacher. That's my skill as a teacher. It's the freedom to, all right, let's go. Why do you think that? Yeah. And go back and forth and engage. Mm-hmm. That's my skill. Some teachers, their skill is the technical and so forth. Okay, mm-hmm. God bless them. Mm-hmm. I work to my skill. This is my skill set.
Yes. Yeah. And then kind of just to play devil's advocate.
Sure, I love it.
Just what if someone says, well, do you feel like you do give them the facts in the beginning, but that you're giving them the opportunity to think differently, say about something like slavery or mm-hmm. racism, that some people might feel uncomfortable seeing people even discuss that as a positive or negative?
Yeah, you need to be uncomfortable. You can't have progress if you're comfortable. If you're comfortable, nothing's going to change. Mm-hmm. So if I need to get out of the seat that I'm sitting in right now and it's comfortable, I'm not going to move. Mm-hmm. You light it on fire, I'm going to get up. I have to get up. So everybody wants to be comfortable. You can't make progress when you're comfortable. Mm-hmm. If you want to lose weight, right, mm-hmm. you're going to have to get uncomfortable. You got to exercise. Yes. You got to change your diet. If you keep eating and doing what you're doing, you're never going to lose weight. So yeah, you need to get uncomfortable. But that's my point. My students aren't uncomfortable. It's the adults. Mm-hmm. So if we're here for the students and they're not uncomfortable, well, what are you uncomfortable about? I'm not forcing them to learn anything. I'm not giving them my opinion. They have free will to say what they want to say and challenge back. Who wouldn't want that for their child?
I think it's the adults that have been wired.
Indoctrinated.
Correct. So right. that they just can't wrap their head around.
Right. I have an 8-year-old daughter. Mm-hmm. If she had a teacher who freely let her express herself, why would I have a problem with that? And if the teacher challenged her back to just make her think, hey, well, maybe look at this, not change your mind. But I don't want a teacher telling my daughter, sit down, shut up. And what student responds well to that? Sit down, shut up, it's what I said. Me, the kids are comfortable. Yeah. And if we're supposed to be here for the kids, that just shows you we're not here for the kids. Yeah. If you're comfortable, no, the kids are enjoying it. They're learning. They're telling you, hey, I like this. Mm-hmm. I want to learn more of this. Well, what's your problem? Which is why I say, I don't think I could do this with 15, 20 adults. No. They're
And
going to be too sensitive and, I'm uncomfortable and this doesn't feel right. Okay, we give up on you. It's too late for you. Let's give them a chance to not make the same mistakes we did with you. That's my argument.
Yes. Right. And when teaching the course, you, like I said, you give the facts in the beginning, but do you think with some of the topics there can be more of a gray area?
Sure.
Where people might already say, well, this is what it really means, or this is what happened, but actually it's more complex.
Of course. That's why we had the analysis.
Yes.
Right. It's not, here's the fact. So we'll look at something. Here's the fact. Now, why is it that way? You understand?
Yes.
So I might say, let me think of something. Black women are the least married group in the United States of America, according to CDC or something like that. I was just using that as an example, right? Okay. So it's not like I just give the fact and we move on. Let's analyze it.
Why is that?
Why is that? Critical thinking. So the girls will say something, the boys will say something, I'll say something, we challenge each other, and then we go that way. You see, that's what we do. I'm just giving them the facts and we move on. No. Why is that? Or this percentage of black people have the lowest amount of wealth compared to this group. Why is that? Oh, it's racism. Well, is it racism? And we go for that. Or is it this? Or is it? That's it. Right. And then it just goes from there.
Yes.
Right.
And just over your time teaching for 5 years, what have been some of the most powerful or surprising moments in the classroom?
Oh, boy. That's a tough one. Racism is a big one. Because I say some things. Now, remember, I'm here to trigger.
Yes.
It doesn't mean I agree or disagree, but my job is to get you to authentically express yourself. Because everybody wants to be politically correct. And I'm like, no, I want the real you. Racism's a big one. That one, we dive deep. That's a long topic. Another one is race. The discussion about a lot of people don't know what race is. They think they do, but they really don't know. Another one that we touch on is dating and the black experience. Dating, marriage, and the black experience. And we talk about marriage and dating and the role of marriage and men and women. And oh yeah, that one gets
heated.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I wish you could see the discussion we have when we talk about men and women.
Yes.
So we talk about men and women in the black community, and it extends out to all communities, because as much as people, it goes to stereotypes. People stereotype black people or white people or Hispanic people a certain way. Believe it or not, again, we focus on the differences. We never focus on the similarities. And when we talk about marriage and dating and in the black experience, the girls get very passionate. It doesn't matter if they're black girls, white girls, Hispanic. They get very, very passionate. We talk about feminism, and there's a topic that they pick it. We discuss it. Feminism, its impact on the black community, and oh boy, man, I get yelled at. I get yelled at, respectfully.
Why do you think that is with some of those specific topics, or do you think that just hits closer to them, or they're more passionate about that than say some other topics?
Yeah, because they're people. We all have things that we're more passionate about than other things. So like I may watch baseball, but I'm more passionate about football. So it's the same thing with them. So with them, we may discuss something related to slavery or the black church. We talk about the black church. And one of the arguments we make is the black church was the worst thing for black people. I know that sounds crazy, but again, we're thinking outside the box. And we could do both sides, but they'll get into that. But then there's other topics like marriage and men and women and so forth, so on, in the black community, where it just triggers them because they're young girls and boys, young men and women. They're dating, and they've grown up in a world that's different than the world I've grown up in. So they're very passionate about certain things, very passionate. And then there's other things where they come in thinking something, and then when we have the discussion, a lot of them say, "Yeah, wow, I actually changed my mind. I think about this differently now." Not that they were forced to change their mind, But it's just that nobody ever had a discussion with them about it. They were just told this is what it is, and they just went with it. But after a discussion, sometimes they're like, yeah, no, I look at things differently. And then there's other times where they have a discussion and like, nope, I'm not changing my mind at all. God bless them.
Yes.
God bless you. You don't have to. Right. That's what we are supposed to do. When you get new evidence, you're supposed to analyze it and then reanalyze and say, well, maybe I need to adjust. Or no, this is what I think. All right, no right or wrong. Yes. We don't do that in this country. We certainly don't do it in the education system, which is why, like you mentioned before, we have such extremes.
Yes,
right.
Definitely. And you really want students to come out of there questioning everything.
Correct.
And it gives them, I think it's a real skill out in the real world then, because probably say from 20 years ago with social media and the amount of information out today, there's a lot of misinformation.
Oh, yeah.
So it gives you that way of critically thinking about these different things that are being discussed in the world.
Yeah, and even like now with AI coming out and everybody just being dependent on it, AI is wrong too.
Yeah.
AI gets things wrong, but it's going to get worse with people because they're just going to depend on AI. Oh, well, that's what it is. And it's like, no. So I actually think critical thinking is the next generation of students, next 10, 20 years, it's going to get worse. That's my prediction. It's going to get worse because AI is just going to do everything for them.
They've grown up on AI.
They've grown up in AI. They're just going to AI something. Oh, that's what it is. No. So if you think critical thinking is bad in this country now, my prediction, wait 10, 20, 30. Oh, it's going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. Everybody just AI. I'm not saying AI is bad. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just, nobody's going to think for themselves.
Yeah.
You're just going to follow an influencer or or whatever, a politician or some guru. And AI, and again, you're going to be dependent on it. So they're going to make money.
Yes.
My goal is to teach you not to be dependent on me. I want you one day not to need me anymore. That's what we're supposed to do. That's not what we're doing. Right.
Yes. It's just become more reliant on different things.
And whoever you're relying on is going to make a boatload of wealth or get into office.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yes.
Right.
And now I want to switch to a different topic, but you've also published Investing is the Best Thing, a financial literacy guide. It could be for teens or parents.
Yeah.
How did your interest in investing begin?
My father. So, like I mentioned earlier, he worked for New York Life, and he was the vice president of he managed investments. So, from the time I was a kid, he was talking to me about money and investments. I saw him going into Manhattan to work, I saw a suit and tie, and that was always my dream as a kid. That's why economics was my first major. I tell you, teaching was not something I thought I was going to do. I envisioned myself suit and tie, taking the train into the city, briefcase, so forth, so on. And so in money, investing has always been another passion of mine. So it was from a kid. I was just, everybody used to call me cheap. I said, no, I'm just smart with my money. And so growing up, school never taught me anything about money. I learned what I knew from my parents. And I was lucky, I was fortunate that I had a father who worked in investing. Most people do not have that with their parent. So I took what he taught me and I compounded on it. And I taught my children, and that's where it started. I was lucky. I was lucky to have parents who were into investing. That's it. That's solely it. If I had another two parents, probably would never happened. Right.
And I think like we discussed earlier, I was never taught that in school, and
nobody is.
Yeah.
Nobody is.
Yes.
They do that's another systemic problem in schools also, which is why I wrote these two books, one for children and one for teenagers and their parents. Yes. But
has it been hard getting people interested?
Impossible. It's not going to happen. The National Educators Financial Council. It's a council. It's a group. What they do is they audit states and school districts about financial literacy, teaching it, how they handle it within their district. Right now, I believe 25 states have a financial literacy mandate, well, which is generic, but 25 states at least have one starting. New York does not have one. New York State. Out of 50 states, New York State ranked 49th out of 50 when it comes to teaching financial literacy in its schools. 49th. Now, we are considered the financial capital of the world. New York City is.
Yeah.
We ranked 49th out of 50 according to the National Educators Financial Council's audit of New York State. We got an F. They said that every public school, they didn't do private schools to my knowledge, but every public school in New York State got an F. What that means is Bayshore School District, where I live, got an F. Riverhead High School, where I teach, got an F. Greenport, or the school district out here, F. Meaning you are not teaching financial literacy, you're failing. This is another thing that schools do not want to teach. And at least on the high school level, what schools do, you can look this up yourself, is if you look in a course guide for any high school, they're either going to give you a Wall Street class for half a semester, your senior or junior year, or a real estate class, or something generic, right? And usually it's in your junior or senior year, or it's for 1 year or half a year. There is no possible way you can learn financial, literacy or investing in half. I'm still learning at my age now. I've been learning this stuff for 30 plus years. There's things I'm still learning. They do the bare minimum, throw you out to the wolves, and that's it. Now, in economics, we try to touch on this stuff, but economics is a half-year course. It's only 4.5 months, 5 months. There's no intention of teaching financial literacy to our children in school. The other thing is they wait till they're in high school. Well, your habits are already formed. A lot of your habits are formed already. You need to start teaching this from the time they start school in pre-K. So I've written curriculum. I have curriculum designed. I've written the guide. I've written the children's book. I have 2 activity books I have not published yet that I may publish. But they're activity books that put everything in the guides into practice. Schools don't want it. Not interested. Which is why we got an F. It's 2025. You're telling me there isn't a curriculum in the entire state where it starts teaching about finances and investing from kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade? Why is it that my students get to 12th grade, none of them know what a Roth IRA is or a 401k? They're about to graduate. Some of them are about to start working as soon as they graduate. They don't know what a 401k is. Then they go to TikTok or something, and the person tells them, and
they might follow that, but
right.
That's just someone that might just want to try
Correct.
to get views and whatever
Correct.
money.
And they're making money off your stupidity. Correct. Yes. It's intentional. They don't want to teach it.
It's like the continuing dumbing down of
that is correct.
The American
So
education.
You are dependent on somebody else. That's the system. That's how it's designed. I've been doing this for 23 years. I'm telling you what it is. Anybody who's listening to this, and if you have a child in school, this is what's being done to your child. You go to school, you'll see that, it looks nice on the back to school night and they're doing this parade and they have that. But I'm telling you.
And you would think companies would want to invest in some courses like this, but I think they probably want you coming back to them to get.
They want you stupid.
Yeah.
No, because if you financially know what's going on, how can a credit card company take advantage of you if you understand how credit cards work? They can't take advantage of you. You know, how can the car salesman take advantage of you if you understand their game? They can't take. If I understand how I'm being fleeced by this person or that person, well then, how can I be taken advantage of? That's why I tell myself, nobody likes you. You're not that charming. They don't like you. They need you stupid, so you're dependent on them. You know, and I didn't like to use the word stupid. They just need you ignorant. They need you underdeveloped. You know, let me change my. They need you underdeveloped. Yes. So my daughter at 8, she needs me. She's 8. She can't drive a car. But at 38, my daughter can tell me, Dad, I don't need you anymore. I have my own apartment. Well, what can I do? You understand? If I tell my daughter, hey, clean up your dinner mess, she has to do it. If I tell my 38 daughter in her house, clean up your dinner mess, she look at me and say, no. What am I going to do? That's how it's designed. So if you don't understand or know this stuff, somebody, especially now with TikTok or AI, will tell you this is what you need to do because you don't know any better. You're going to do it. They're making money. You're losing it. So if you look at the 2 curriculums that I've created, there are 2 things that schools don't actually want to teach, which is why I created it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm actually trying to help people. But the school systems do not want this. So they don't want to teach financial literacy. They're going to do the bare minimum. to say, oh yeah, we teach in economics. Oh, we have a Wall Street class. I'm not saying anything bad about that, but it's not enough. It's not nearly enough.
Yes.
These kids should start learning this stuff 3-4 years old. Mm-hmm. My daughter knows. In fact, the children's book's based off my daughter. She knows the concepts in the book. She knows what cash flow is. She knows what rent is. She knows what a tenant is. She knows what stock is.
No, that's really important.
Right.
Do you have any? You said you have other books you're working on?
They're done. So what I have is these 2 books, the children's book and the teenager book, that's the information. The other books is an activity book where they literally put it into practice.
Okay.
So now, for example, in the investing guide here, it'll tell them what a Roth IRA is, what a 401k is, what an IRA is, so forth, so on. But in the activity book, they have to actually analyze using the information, and they have to build an investment plan. So now you have to check boxes, and it will tell you this is an investment plan you may want to consider, because based off what you prefer. For example, in the activity book, I created questions for them to ask a potential landlord. If you're going to rent an apartment, here's 20 questions you should ask the landlord. If you're going to buy a car, here's 20 questions you should ask the car sales. So you can literally take it with them and put it into practice. If you're going to get life insurance, here's 20 questions you should ask the person selling you life insurance. If you're going to a bank to open a bank account, here's 20 questions you should ask. So it actually puts it into, because I couldn't put it all in one, but it'd be too much. Mm-hmm. So I created an activity book where literally now you're putting into practice the information that you got from the guide, and it goes hand in. I just haven't published it yet. Yeah. It's done. The manuscript is done, but I'm questioning if I should even bother because, like I said, schools aren't interested. Your school district, whoever's listening, they do not want to teach financial literacy or critical thinking. Mm-hmm. Trust me on this.
Yes. You've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah.
Reaching out to different...
Well, school districts are hard because if you're not in the school district, they don't know who you are. They're just going to look at you. I mean, they get people advertising things to them all the time. But again, with people at the higher ups, like I said, the higher up you go, the more education, quote unquote, you have, the more resistant you are to change, to seeing things differently. You just know everything. I don't know. So what's happening is they're set in their ways. Mm-hmm. They want to do things the way they do it. They don't want to upset the dynamics. No, we have a Wall Street class rate, the bare minimum. Yeah. They're okay with that. Where you know who the biggest buyers of my books are? Students. They actually buy the book themselves with their own money. They pre-order the book. So what happens is they like to buy the book directly from me rather than Amazon or Barnes & Noble because I give them a discount. Mm-hmm. So I give the students a student discount when they buy it from me. And they get one free session. So I tutor on investing. They get one free session sometime during the school year. Mm. So they buy it from me. So during the school year, I actually sell out the book and students give me money they want to pre-order the book. So I have to make a list and hold a list for the next shipment coming in so that I can make sure I give it to them. So the kids are buying the book left and right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're buying it left and right. The schools have no interest in it. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's the system. Yes. Right. I've been doing this 23 years. I know what students want. I know what they want. I'm in there with them. I'm in the classroom. They talk to me. They tell me I know which is one of the reasons why I designed both curriculums, the Black Experience in America and Investing is the Best Thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also, you've gotten involved in other things in the community as you're director of the education for the African American Educational Cultural Festival. Mm-hmm. Could you talk about
so they're an East End organization. And so they work with different, they try to promote things among people, diversity, so forth, so on. And so they tasked me to be the head of the education portion where I try to introduce, things that that I see that, hey, maybe you want to consider this, maybe you want to consider that as far as teaching people and mm-hmm. reaching out. Yeah. So they're just trying to do community work. They're mainly based on the East End of Long Island.
Okay.
Yep.
And then... You're founder of COIN?
Yep, Community Outreach Investment Network, correct. Yeah. So that is, I tutor people on investing.
Okay.
Yep. So I did a session last Friday. Last Friday I had a session and I did a Zoom call and people reach out to me and I tutor them. They ask me questions and the thing is they know I'm not selling them anything. So they ask me, I don't tell them what to invest in. I just teach them about investing. So last Friday, I helped somebody open a brokerage account. So when I tutor my students, because again, we don't have anything in my school. We have I think we have a Wall Street class. We have, economics, but I have students who I sit with them on my lunch period and we go over things in the book, in the guide. I've had students open up brokerage accounts. So they have brokerage accounts now. I've had students open up Roth IRAs because they're working. When you're working, you can open up a custodial Roth IRA. And I don't know if many of your listeners know what a custodial Roth IRA is, but this is the issue that we're having. So they actually have brokerage and they're investing. Now, I don't tell them what to invest in, but I'm teaching them. So the best way to teach about investing is to actually start practicing it in real life. What schools do is every school does this. Nobody's thinking outside the box. Every school in an economics class does what's called a Wall Street game. You pick 5 stocks and you're going to get a fake amount of money. And
I think I did that.
Everybody, again,
yes.
Nobody thinks outside the box, right?
Yes. So
everybody does this Wall Street game, right? And then at the end of the session, 3 months, whatever it is, there's one winner. Timmy won, right? Fantastic, right? So Timmy's the winner. Let me ask you a question. Would you give all of your money to Timmy and let him invest your money?
No.
Why not? He won the stock market game. Do you see how fraudulent the way we teach investing is? I argue the stock market game is the absolute worst way to teach investing. Because you haven't taught Timmy what is the price to book ratio of the companies you picked? What is the current ratio of the companies that you picked? What is the enterprise value of the companies? He couldn't tell you. Timmy just guessed like everybody else guessed. Then they teach, pick something that you use. Well, how do you know that what you're using, the company isn't terrible? So Timmy wins out of sheer luck. He gets a banner. Timmy wins. His school gets a banner. Okay, so give all of your money to Timmy and let him invest it for you. Well, why wouldn't you do it? That just proves it's a horrible way of teaching. It's not teaching anything. And this is the bare minimum that every school district in Long Island is doing and calling it financial literacy. They're not teaching a thing. My guide and my books, it actually breaks things down where students are investing based off what they're taught in certain things. Because I mentioned current ratio, enterprise value. I guarantee you almost nobody knows what that is.
Yes.
And there are principles and tenets that I could argue are some of the most important things you should be looking at when picking a stock. Or real estate. I talk about real estate. I have students who have no interest in stocks. They want to do real estate. How do you analyze a rental property? What about trademarks? Trademarking is an investment. When I mention trademarks so much, they have no idea what that is or even how to do it. You could trademark something, that's an investment. Because now nobody can use it without your approval. So like you can't just go out and use McDonald's. That's trademarked. It's owned by somebody. They don't know about that. See, schools are lacking. They're full of it. They're doing the bare minimum, sending your kids out into the real world to get slaughtered. And unless you're teaching it to them, which you may not know yourself, which isn't of your fault because you went to the same schools they did, the cycle continues. You're always dependent on somebody else. There you go.
Yes, definitely. And now, just looking to the future, we've talked about public education or education, but what do you see as the future of education in the country? And you said you don't see the Black experience class really gaining momentum in other parts.
It will never happen. In fact, this is probably my last year doing it in Riverhead. So, yeah, it's not going to go any further. The future of public education. So you're asking my opinion, and I'll tell you because this is where we're here, and I'll be authentic. It's just going to get worse. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. Somebody could debate me and say it'll get better. I just think it's going to get worse.
With AI and just other
AI,
things.
Too many distractions. Parents are overworked. They're tired. The things that we really need to teach our students, schools are resistant and don't want to do it. And if they're forced to do it, they're going to do the bare minimum. A lot of schools are overloaded, with things that they have to teach that really is not applicable to real life. So a lot of teachers, a lot of people in education, they're just in survival mode. They're like, listen, I can only do what I can do. They're telling me I have to do this. What else can I do? So there are teachers who would love to teach financial literacy. So again, I'm not saying it's the teachers. I want to be clear on that.
Yes.
I'm saying it's a system. There are teachers who would say, man, this is great, but I can't teach. Let's, for example, the elementary schools. They have the third grade and eighth grade assessments. So if I go to a third grade teacher and say, hey, I have a curriculum that can help you infuse financial literacy into your class, a lot of third grade teachers, they have good hearts, but they'll say to me, I would love to, but I got to get them ready for this third grade test, which goes back to why I don't believe in tests in certain instances, not all, but because I'm forcing you into a box. So it's, I have no time. When am I going to do it? There you go. It's a system. So with AI now, people are more distracted. People are more tired. They're into other things. I could be wrong because I'm not in the predicting business, but I think public education will get. Well, let's just ask this: in the last 20 years, has public education gotten better or worse?
Worse.
Okay, so why would I think the trajectory would change? It's just there's nothing. These things create change that I produced. Schools don't want it. So why would I think anything positive would change or change in a positive direction? So yeah, I think it's going to get worse. My humble opinion of 23 years of service in the education system, I think it's going to get worse.
Yes.
Yep. And what's going to happen is people always talk about the wealth gap. It's going to get wider. Certain people are going to get far, far more wealthy, and certain people are going to get far, far more poor. It's just going to keep widening.
Yes.
Because you're going to be dependent on somebody else, and the person who everybody's dependent on will make the money, and you will not. It's that simple. That's it.
And do you see more public schools, more low funding or lack of funding, and then charter schools or private education or homeschooling?
Homeschooling, I don't think you're going to see as much homeschooling as you think, because parents have to work.
Yes.
Listen.
It's hard.
Mom and dad have to work, and a lot of them they have to work overtime. Things get more expensive every year. It's just the way it is. Your taxes go up, the price of food. It's just going to happen. So homeschooling, I really don't see that as an option. So you mentioned charter schools, school districts that I'm trying to see how to phrase this. School districts, charter schools will show up in certain school districts. So school districts that are considered good, I'm using air quotes, or that are doing well, won't have charter schools. They won't really. I don't think there'll be a need for them.
Yes.
School districts that are quote unquote bad or quote unquote struggling, that's the school districts that will have to face that challenge. Funding isn't an issue, in my opinion, with schools. For the most part, I'm generalizing, of course, because I don't want somebody to say, "Well, no, that's not true." I'm creating a broad statement. It's what they do with the funding is the question. Where are you spending the money? Because I could argue just anything with government, there's a lot of waste. It's taxpayer dollars. So if they do something and it's wasted, well, you're just going to keep. It's not like you're not going to pay tax. you still have your property. All you have to do is raise it. So I don't know if funding. Again, I haven't seen the scrolls. But I don't know if funding really is an issue for schools if they spent the money right, properly. I don't know if the money was spent properly. On most facets, funding might actually not be a problem. But somebody could argue it is a problem because we have an influx of more students. Everything rises costs, so they could be right on that. Again, I'm an open book. I could be, I like to hear both sides. But I've seen a lot of school districts get a lot of funding and end up in a deficit. So if I gave you money, hey, here's $10 million. And then a year from now, you come back to me and say, hey, I need $2 million more. I'm like, well, what'd you do with the $10 million? Where did it go? And then if I give you another $2 million and you come back to me a year from then, hey, I need $4 more million. Eventually, I'm going to question like, okay, what are you doing? Where's this money going?
Yes.
So I don't know. Funding could be an issue. It might not be an issue, but I do think charter school push is going to be a fight for certain school districts. Yes.
And what about even with your class, what about moving forward on topics such as race or identity or critical thinking for the next generations? I feel like even in the last decade, we have been focusing on race and identity a lot, but maybe it's not taught like in the best ways where there's more critical thinking about it and why we put ourselves in these different boxes. And I think that's why the system relies on us in these different boxes and thrives more when we divide ourselves into these.
Oh, they love it. They need it. They need division because that's how people make money off the division. So if, for example, CNN has to give you this or MSNBC has to give you this, they're going to stick to their path. Fox News has to give you this. They have to stick to that. So they're going to draw from they're going to tell their people what they want to hear. It's just, they make the money, you lose. It's like the same thing. Like, a Republican might agree with a Democrat. He or she can't say it, and vice versa. A Democrat can't, because they're going to feel like they're alienated. So we're like you mentioned before, the extremes. It's too extreme. Just because I'm a Democrat doesn't mean I can't agree with something a Republican say. I might say, hey, I'm a Democrat, but yeah, that's a good point on his. I agree with him on that. You can't do that. So they want, even the issue of race. Race is a social construct. People don't even understand that. There has to be, even within the Black community. I'm an African. I'm a Caribbean American. I'm a Black. There's divisions there. Everybody thinks that all Black people are the same. No, we're not even close. Just like all Europeans aren't the same. I'm Italian. I'm German. There's always division, and then people populate to that. And I'm not even saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying it's division. We just never focus on a similarity.
Coming together.
Yeah, the similarities are never highlighted. It's just the division or the differences that we focus on. Nobody ever mentions the similarity. It doesn't make, similarities don't make money. The division and differences does.
Yes.
That's how we're ingrained, right? That's what makes the money. The similarities don't make any money. So that's what's pushed, and that's how it works. And you're just going to see more of that in education and in this country. And that's what's going to happen.
Yes. And for you moving forward, you hope to continue teaching history and then this critical thinking class. Would you like to expand to other types of, because I feel like there needs to be just a critical thinking class in general in every high school.
Sure.
Even if it wasn't just on the Black experience, it could be on other just critical thinking.
I would love to, but this is so hard to do here. And yeah, it's just not going to happen. I'm being honest. Believe me, I would love to do it. Just a critical thinking course.
Yes.
Just in general. It's not going to happen. Number one, I do have a schedule, and these are elective courses. This is an elective course. Primary courses, I got to teach economics. I got to teach participation in government. So if they need me to teach a course that's a general course, electives can get cut. Hey, we need you to teach this. It is what it is. So there's no room in my schedule to add to that. Number two, I'm going to be honest, the system just doesn't believe in it. They don't think it's important. Yeah. So the fight that I would have to put in to do that at this point in my career, it's just not, I'm tired. Meaning to build the two curriculums in such a short span, it's just hard enough for me to do the Black experience.
Yes.
Now I'm trying to infuse the investing and that's a fight of its own.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And I'm one person, and as one person, you can't fight a system. You need people, parents,
coming together,
children, other teachers who are going to fight with you. You're not going to defeat a system all by yourself. Yeah. And most parents, they don't know what's going on in their child's school. They have no idea. They have no idea.
And they're busy.
And they're busy. They're tired. They're working. They send their kids to us to teach them. What they don't know is we're indoctrinating them. But they send us to teach them. They entrust in us to teach their kid, give them the grades. And Johnny got a B. Okay, Johnny, he got a B, good. Move on to the next grade. He graduates, gets a diploma. Johnny's ready for the real world. No, Johnny's not even close to ready for the real world. It's just a facade. He's going out. He's going to get slaughtered. He doesn't even know what's waiting for him out there. Or Cindy doesn't know what's waiting for her out there. But we feel good. We're buying into the system. My kid graduated. My kid got A's. My kid got B's. I argue my most intelligent students are the ones who get C's. My smartest students get A's. My most intelligent students, they actually get C's. There's a difference between smart and intelligent. Most people don't know what it is. Most people have no idea the difference between smart and intelligent. They have no idea. So my most intelligent students, they actually get C's. My smartest students, they get A's. Intelligence gets you farther in life than smart. It does. Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, you could be both. You could be smart and intelligent. You could have but the intelligence makes you Jeff Bezos. See, when Jeff Bezos was just smart, he worked for a hedge fund making $300,000. When he became intelligent, he became the second wealthiest man on earth. There's a difference. Most people don't know the difference between intelligent and smart.
Do you think intelligence is more thinking outside?
Correct. That's all.
Whereas smart is like
you follow what I tell you.
You follow everything, and
that's correct.
Yeah.
So, for example, Jeff Bezos is intelligent. He figured out the solution to an issue. He created Amazon. That's why he's the second wealthiest man on earth. His lawyer is smart. He knows the tax codes and everything like that. Jeff Bezos doesn't know. He doesn't need to know that. He just pays him, the smart guy, to do it for him. You see? Yeah. Intelligent people think outside the box. That's how they get to the top 1%. They're intelligent. The smart people become rich. Intelligent people become wealthy. They see something, they figure out a problem that nobody else has figured out, and they provide the solution, making them filthy wealthy. The rich guy, he's rich, but he's got to take orders from the wealthy guy who's intelligent. That's the difference. So when I look at grades, a kid can get an A just because they just regurgitated what I taught them. Who's even say what I taught them is right? The C student who challenges everything I say, he's intelligent. He might be or she might be getting C's because they're just not conforming to something that I may have taught them that could be wrong. That's the difference. So even when we look at grades, so-and-so got an A, they're intelligent. No, they're smart. I don't know if they're intelligent. They could be intelligent. I just don't know.
Yes.
Right. Do they know how to critically think? Or are they going to take orders from the banker or the car salesman who tells them, buy this car at 25% interest. It's a good deal. Okay. Oh, that's a smart person. All right. The intelligent person will say, well, wait a second, 25% interest? Well, that's the difference. We don't teach that. We teach smart. We don't teach to intelligence.
No, that's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
And then usually, just lastly, I like to ask if there was any other last minute things you'd like to discuss or say that we haven't touched on.
Well, what I would say lastly is for any parents who are listening to this, if you have a young child, you have a child who's in high school, middle school, elementary, or going into school, don't just depend, I keep using the word depend, on the school system to teach your child. I teach my child all summer. We've been doing work. Even on vacation, we bought a book with her, Brain Quest book and a fractions book to get her. And I'm tired too. We're all tired. I get it.
Yes.
Our parents were tired also. We're all tired. We're all hardworking people. I understand. I get it. If you care about your child, you have to question your school district.
Yes.
You have to. What are you teaching my children? Why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? I know you don't know everything about how the school system works. Why would you? You're not in it. But don't just sit back and just depend on your school district or your school to just do the right thing by your child. Because many times they're not going to. They're going to get your children in, teach them something. I could teach you a lot of things. I could teach you how to make drugs. I taught you something.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's good or
yes.
conducive to your well-being, but I did teach you something. No, you're going to teach you something. Your child's going to be taught something, or indoctrinated, whatever word you want to use. And then they're going to graduate, and yay. But why is it that all these people year after year keep graduating, and still financially everybody's complaining that they're struggling, or people are insulting each other over it's nothing's changed. It's just getting worse. So for your child, just question everything that your school district is doing, because it's a systemic problem. I'm not saying it's a teacher or, of course there are teachers who can be good, but I'm not talking about that. But the system, as much as they portray that, it's about your kid, nobody's going to love your kid like you. So you really have to question, why is there no financial, why isn't my 5-year-old learning about money in school? And if they tell you, well, you could teach it to them, yes, I could, but I went to the same school system that they did. Why aren't we changing this? If the parents aren't questioning or demanding it, or they're not involved, nothing's going to change. And when people get older and say, well, we never learned this in school. Yeah, you never demanded it. You never demanded it. That's why you didn't learn in school. A curriculum can be changed. It's not written in stone. You can change a curriculum easy. But you never demanded it, which is why you got what you got. So in a country that says, we say we're a republic and democracy, so forth, so on, you can't say you're a victim, you're an accomplice. You voted for it. You didn't demand it. If they truly work for you, well, then make them work for you. That's my suggestion to parents, because I'm showing you the product, I'm showing you the problems in the education system, and they're telling me no, they don't want it. Okay, well, it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. No, but I want to thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure talking with you, and thank you for sharing your story. And
appreciate it.
It's really, I applaud you for all the work you're doing. It's really I haven't seen a course like that before and would have loved to be in that. So I think it's really important that critical thinking is key.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, just trying to make a difference. And if this is my last year teaching it, which it probably will be, at least for 5 years, I was able to help some of my students as they graduate to look at things differently. And I did the best that I could.
Yes.
And that's what I tell my students. Do the best that you can. You change one student, you change the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 188 with Jamaal Boyce. I want to thank you for listening to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast, and we'll see you next time.